here we are, live talk with Becky Chernek. And I got to tell you, I have a terrific featured guest speaker on tonight with Blake Norberg. And I got to tell you, he's got a really interesting background. He has his extensive automotive retail background, which includes F&I as well. And currently, he is the director of business development for selectFI. So we're going to be digging deep in what's going on with selectFI. And, you know, I happen to find that a very intriguing conversation about how selectFI is helping dealers to sell more cars, helping dealers to really maximize the profitability in those deals. And we'll let Blake kind of share with us how that whole thing works and get into his brief bio. But before we do that, for those that are new to this channel, I'm Becky Chernek, and I have been providing the very best in finance and insurance, plus also known as the champion F&I coach, providing dealers with dealer insights from the time that customer touches down on that dealership website to working with sales professionals on presentations. To me, that presentation is just as important as that F&I menu presentation, and then impacting sales as well as working on the desk and making sure that, you know, obviously the desk is in alignment to what's going on with sales as well as what takes place in the F&I office to maximize sales. So here's what I've done. I went ahead, I put my link to my website on the post. So please be sure to check it out for all the services that I offer to dealers, as well as we are looking and opening for sponsorships here for the live talk with Becky Chernek. This show is just getting better all the time. So please make it a point, check it out, give me a call, and or DM me LinkedIn and or Facebook. Now listen up. We are going live. We're going live on YouTube. We're going live on Facebook. We are going live here on LinkedIn and X. And certainly if you like what we're talking about, please do me a favor and like, subscribe, and share. That's what we need. We need you to share. Okay, so here's the deal. I've got Mr. Blake Norberg with us tonight, and he will go ahead and, if you wouldn't mind, for dealers and viewers to get us started, share your brief background. Let's go.
Yeah. So my background, Becky, I grew up in the car business, was around the car business growing up. Went to work for a warranty company, first job, actually second job out of college. Learned F&I, was thrown on the road, had to work at all these dealerships all over the country, got promoted to district manager for the warranty company, and did that for a couple of years. Then I got pulled back into the family agency for a little while. And then I decided to get out of F&I. I was introduced to the digital world by a friend and helped grow a company called fusionZONE that did websites, SEO, SEM. It was the highest converting website in automotive at the time. We grew that company to about 1,000 dealerships that got sold. Worked on a couple other projects, and then got recruited by the AutoMiner, Aaron Sheeks, and he got that company off the ground. We got acquired by PureCars, stayed on with PureCars for about a year, and got introduced to Tommy Vulo, that was the founder for selectFI. Having an F&I background and a digital background and seeing what they were building, I thought, hey, this is pretty cool. And they kind of recruited me for about 17 months. And I finally said, hey, let's go. And, we are almost to 50 stores here in the Southeast. We're growing, getting lots of good feedback from dealers. We're helping create a more frictionless sales and buying process for both dealership personnel and the customers, and just embracing this whole, I'm sure you've heard a little bit about all this AI machine learning and how it's taken over, but there's some good things to come of it to help make the process better.
Yeah, well, you can't help it but know about what's going on with AI, machine learning. I mean, so over the last couple of years, and we are really getting into some of, it really is doing, streamlining the process for darn sure and impacting our overall profitability plus sales. So first and foremost, I will tell you, I've been watching you and your social media. Blake is very good and you got my attention. And, I focus a lot. I do a lot of work on the front end operation, but to me, when we're talking about desking is really a critical component to what I live and breathe by, because I believe that is really a driver to impacting total performance. So when you're talking about helping sales managers to impact those sales when it comes to lender options, guidelines to impact those sales and ultimately profits. Can we dig a little bit deeper into that? And could you, for us, talk about how selectFI does that?
Yeah. So I think before we kind of dive into that, I think, we need to address one of the big problems that we help solve. And I think one of the biggest universal problems for any dealership, any manager, is they don't have enough good information early in the process to make an accurate quote. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you still got some salespeople that use that your favorite question, right? On the scale of 1 to 10, how's your credit? I mean, so the way
can I clarify things, because I know you're talking about our previous conversation and know how much I hate that question. Don't you? That is not like, I'm like, are you kidding me? 1 to 10. Let's see. Is this an IQ test or what?
Yeah, but yeah. So we've kind of built our system. It's a pre-desking solution to where we can have a more of a frictionless interview, or the salesperson doesn't really have to concentrate on that. They can concentrate more on selling the car, doing a better needs assessment, and really focusing on selling versus finding out if the customer can buy, and putting that more in the manager's hand to help guide that process. But it's very simple. With Select, FI, we can send a link to the customer while they're in the showroom, when they come on the website. We can build QR codes for the salespeople. We can do it a number of different ways. We can send it to where they can do a 5-liner or a full-blown credit app. Everything we do is a soft pull. I'm sure we'll talk more about that here in a second. But then everything we do also, this was big for a dealer group I talked to today. Everything we do is non-consumer facing. It's not consumer facing. There's a lot of tools out there, and I had a big conversation with a platform director today where he's like, Blake, these customers, they'll go on the website, they'll get one payment, they don't even qualify. They get to our dealership, and the payment is a lot higher than what they saw on the website, and so that creates a lot of friction from the get-go.
Let me ask you, I'm just curious about this, because I was just in this conversation today too. And so is that the information that's on their website or somebody else's website?
That's just one of the tools that
they have a tool on their own website, but that the information that they're providing to the customer is incorrect. Do I have that right? So when they come into the dealership, it doesn't match. That
happens all the time, believe it or not. That happens a lot.
Well, I think that I could say something, but I'm not. I'm gonna try to bite my tongue here, because I think that doesn't that really require the dealership to kind of think that process through, that we should have those. I mean, we don't have to have it exact, but shouldn't we have it somewhat close to what maybe the customer might qualify for? And by the time they make their way, I mean, it's all about continuing the buying process once the customer comes back into the dealership. And wouldn't it make sense to make sure that we're kind of in alignment?
Yeah,
to some degree?
I agree, but sometimes there's some tools out there that you know they put it in the hands of the customer to guess, and they guess wrong, and then it creates friction once they
Sure,
get
sure.
there.
I'm
So
I'm gonna
we've
let you
taken
have
that out of the equation. So everything that we do, so the customer puts their information in. As soon as they do that, we also have our consent form built in. We've got the privacy policy built in, so we're running a lot of compliance for the dealership up front. So when I say consent, the consent to contact them via email, text, phone, that's kind of done up front. We put it in a digital deal jacket. We also send the customer an email and a text where they have a link to access it for 2 years. And we keep that for 7 years on behalf of the store. We push that information then into the CRM, which helps get that information into the CRM, which sometimes doesn't happen. So, and then our system, we push the information to the manager. We integrate with whoever their inventory provider is. We'll actually pull the inventory in. We'll book out the car. We have the ability to add features to that vehicle. So our system is going to think like the bank thinks. Okay. We have the ability to tap into Route 1 or DealerTrack, download all their banks and credit unions. We'll talk more about this in a little bit, but we'll actually build an algorithm for every one of their banks, and we'll track the data on how they are approving deals. Because a lot of your banks don't even put their guidelines out there, right?
Right.
Rate
I
sheets.
mean, right. I mean, yeah. So you have to kind of guess through it.
Right. So
Right.
then our system will look at the credit profile of the customer, look at the inventory, look at the data, and then, we'll build in whatever the rate policy is at the dealership for fair desking. And because the FTC doesn't really care about what rate you charge, right? They care about markups. We build that in. We'll talk more about that here probably. And then we show them top 5 banks most likely to approve that deal and top 5 conditional banks. So if they need, more money down to get to a better deal structure, we're going to show them that. So, and we have the ability to print that out, and then we can, once we get a commitment, we have the ability to push that into Route 1 or DealerTrack and take them down, as far as the process goes.
Well, we're going to talk through a couple of these. I just want to make sure you know that we're not by ourselves here tonight, Blake, that we have some folks here on with us that are saying hello. And I didn't want to stop us because I think it's important to have a good intro to really have a good understanding, like, what are we talking about? And so we have Tony Owens. He is Germain, and he is the Fix Ops Guru. And glad you could be here, Tony, with us to say hello. We have Chris Kerr, good guy. I've known Chris for many, many years, and he is like you, Blake. He is so in the tech. It's not F&I tech is all about Chris. And then we have Mike Moran. He's in here tonight. Thank you, Mike, for showing up. I appreciate it. And then we have
LinkedIn user.
Do you know who that is? Is that you? No, I'm just kidding. And then we have Tony. Tony, let's go. Let's make it happen. Jeff Williams is your buddy.
He is, man. Good to see Jeff Williams there.
He is super cool, isn't he? He's a super guy. He's now, out of the tech world, back into the retail world with Brett Sutherland, I believe. And then we got Wendy. Wendy, hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling better. And then we got good old, hey, Relentless is good. And that's what Blake is all about. Hi, Wendy. And then we've got good evening, Gary. You know Gary?
I think Gary and I interacted this past week. So
he's a good guy. Gary Silman is a great guy. And then we have Tony Owens, Tony. And then we got, I'm going back to this one in a minute. And then we have lack of trust is very important. We're going to go back to that too. And then we have, does anyone use risk-based pricing forms? That's a good question too. We have a lot of good stuff going on here right now. Do you know James Raymond? Blake has been and will remain a trusted dealer advisor.
Okay.
You know some good. Yeah. Hi, Becky Everald. Hey, Everald. he's a terrific guy. Everald is a champion when it comes to leasing. I'm going to tell you that right now. Transparency is key to the entire process. I'm telling you, you're a star here. Great topic. Thank you, Everald. We've got Robert Pierce. Blake, there you go again. Is a living legend in automotive. Did you pay these folks to say this?
No, I did not pay these people.
Hey, thank you, Carol. I got a few on my side here. You're a living legend here, Blake. It is tough to top you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, it's true. I mean, to tell you, how good for you. That means you've been there, you've done it, you own it, and people know about it. That's really good. I might have done it. I don't know how many people know I've done it, but you certainly, there are people out there that know that you've done it, and that's good. So I like everything that we're talking about here and making it a seamless process. Yes?
Correct. 100%.
The idea is to be able to make sure that the deals, okay. So let's face it, sales managers are used to shock. There's a term that I think we've used in the past. It's called platinum shotgun.
That's a new one I learned just a couple of days ago. Actually.
I know you did. I'm using it. I'm going to use it. Platinum shotgun. What is platinum shotgun for those that don't know what that means?
Well, I was explained to me I know what the shotgun term is, but he had this finance director explained to me that he just took over this group, and one of his managers had the term that he just liked to use the platinum shotgun and just put it out there to every bank,
So, you know what? That's not something, here's what I liked about, interesting about the conversation. Here's a guy who's come from a dealership that's kind of tight. That they have tight processes in place. So he learned from the best. He's in these other dealerships and he's seeing like some of these processes or whatever kind of practices taking place. And it's like, everybody's like all over the place. Everybody's doing this or that or the other. Some are, like you said, shotgunning deals to every lender that there is with a hope and a prayer that something gets done. We get something somewhere. And when we do, guess what we're going to do? Off to the races we go. We got an approval. Let's rock. Let's roll. Let's send this deal into F&I and hope we can put this whole thing together. And frankly, I see that a lot out there. I don't see a lot of control on the desk as much as, I have this saying that dealers are giving the keys to the kingdom to these desk managers. And I'm like, without accountability. And it's like, these guys aren't going to know. I mean, are they going to know their 40 lenders that they have access to and how they buy? And do they truly understand the cost of sale when maximizing the potential of every deal?
I actually spoke to a guy the other day, and he said one of his managers wanted 50 lenders instead of 40.
Yeah, so he doesn't even know what the other 30 are doing to help him impact the deal. It's just like, why is that allowed to happen? Why is that allowed to happen? Help me, you're in the industry. It boggles my mind that dealers are allowing that to happen, that we're going to shotgun all these deals and come up with their best bet. And now we're going to send it into F&I. And we, frankly, Blake, I know this doesn't have anything to do with you so much, but what's frustrating to me is that we used to have F&I people that, they weren't just clerks, they were actual managers, and they would get involved in the deal, manage the deal, and make the deal better. Yeah. It's non-existent.
Right. And I think we chatted about that too. Like, during COVID, there was a lot of bad habits that were created, and there were some people that got, promoted without having to go through and learn everything. And so now we're kind of having to go back and learn again, or figure something else out. And that's where we kind of come in and help fill that void.
Okay. So, okay. So you and I talked about you pencil the deal, you make the deal. How does that all work with AI? How is all that how does that all come together?
So the way it works with machine learning AI is that our system, again, we're not just one or two banks. We're dealership specific. So whatever banks that specific dealership's using, we're going to build an algorithm for each one of those lenders. Okay. And our system is going to learn those lenders. We're going to draw from regional as well as national, on how these banks are approving deals. And just to put that in perspective, our company has looked at $17 billion in transactional data. Okay. We're looking at about $70 million with the transactional data a week right now.
Mhm.
So our system is getting smarter as we look at more and more transactions. So that is how, our AI machine learning, looks at the deals. Because let's face it, I mean, I was at a dealership, a few hours ago, and guy admitted he's like, most of our banks don't even have rate sheets out there anymore.
They
So
don't. They don't.
So we're able to, to learn, and then, give them the top 5 banks most likely to approve that deal with the deal structure, so they can see how much will be allowed on the front, what will be allowed on the back. Is there what the flat might be if they were to take a flat, how much, back ends allow, what products they can sell. And then, we have the ability to switch vehicles as many times as they want without submitting it to the lender, which I think is also
See,
good.
that is huge. Do you, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever had to, I mean, I know we can do it through Dealer Tracker Route 1, but it's cumbersome. It's cumbersome. And it's like, having to resend a different type of deal structure. Whereas if you don't have to do that and know what kind of vehicle you're on, right, that structures based on your lenders that you have, that you have available to you, how much smarter are you working? Right? This
Right.
used to be one of my pet peeves. I'm like, I look, I don't mind, hell, I don't mind that the desk has the tools necessary to be able to desk a deal and to maximize its potential. They should. What frustrates me more than anything is when we're giving away the farm,
Right.
when we are not maximizing the potential. And then the deal, I mean, then there's nothing left, whether it be front or back end, because we don't know what we're doing. And so, with that said, we have some comments again. Ask him. Oh, ask him about lead generation. He knows lead generation. Like, lead generation. So we'll have to talk about that in a minute. But I will say this. Gary says, inmates running the asylum.
Oh, that's a funny
Um,
one.
You got some friends here. How do you memorize 40 bank programs without the programs being advertised? Beats the heck out of me. These guys don't care. They're just shotgun. We'll figure it all out later. Then you've
Right.
got Chris. This is zero accountability and a zero process. But this is what's been going on, Blake.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. I mean, some of the stories that I'm hearing, it's mind blowing. So
It's freaking amazing. We've got, how many times does a sales manager increase trade or cut front end to put a deal? How and he's so right. It's like, how many times is that? How many times has that happened?
And that's a number. That's a number that they don't track every day, right? They don't track how much money they're losing when they cut the deal, right?
That's
And,
right. They
and
don't.
that's a hidden profit loss right there.
It's called cost of sale.
Cost of sale, yes.
It's like they're just like, okay, blinded. It's, because again, COVID really helped to, um, what's the best way I could say this? It's like it eroded all the skill set, any reasoning that we might have had when it comes to, because we're all making all sorts of profits. So why bother having to look into, it and or asking for more?
I
And
think Brian Benstock called that the profit coma.
he's right. Brian, yes, absolutely. It's so true. Okay, then you have selectFI is like a trade tool for finance. Let's talk about that. What does that mean?
It can show you different, based on the information that you put in to the system. We can even book the vehicle out. We even pull in your rebates and incentives. We can change the cash down. We can change the vehicles, but then our system is going to recalculate everything and think like a bank thinks. And
You know how often I said, Blake, how often I said, let me explain this. And I try to do this in a really, a good way. But the lender is the one who makes the decision whether that deal goes. You don't have to like it. It is reality. If the lender says it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it's not happening. So you're putting reason behind that and helping them to understand the parameters to put more deals together based off of lender guidelines and approval.
and the collateral and the credit. We're looking at the credit file of the customer
Sure.
as well. And again, what's cool about our soft pull, we're able 96% of the time able to get the correct information with consent from the customer to get that information. And we're not having to impact their credit with an inquiry.
So let's talk a little about that. Okay, soft pull versus hard inquiry. Two different pulls, two different things that are happening. With a soft pull, it's, what do you call that? Is that a pre-qualified?
Yeah,
What do they term
there's a
that?
couple different types of soft pulls. I mean, there's the soft pull that without consent that a lot of the credit card companies will do, the banks will do, and then we do something called a soft pull pre-qual, where we get that consent up front from the customer, we timestamp it, we date it, and then that allows us to go in and get that basically the entire credit file of the customer without doing an inquiry. Whereas hard pull is you're wanting to get an approval, right? And you're doing an actual inquiry on the customer, which will show up on their credit, and
But you're getting customer authorization,
correct,
even though it's a soft pull.
correct, yes.
And that's important for regulation purposes. So, for example, customers walking on the lot, and we're just going to do a soft pull without them knowing about it.
Right.
That's not what this is.
That is correct. And you're not going to get all the data that we're providing the dealership. We're not going to be,
Right.
we're not, the bureau file looks exactly the same as the hard pull. I mean, this is 2025. Things have changed.
I know, right?
Right. And I think that's a good point. Like, there's some people there's kind of like, sometimes what I've seen is like there's been this negative connotation of soft pulls, but because maybe they weren't used right in the past. But we've got some pretty high volume stores, and they love it. Like, I had dinner with the dealer last night. He goes, Blake, I love this. We're not even really having to do a hard pull until we send it into the bank, and then we'll do one at delivery. But it takes the friction out of the process. If the customer doesn't want to give out their social security number, we can still work the deal with a 5-liner, get the same info. And then if they want to then we can push that customer the credit app. It'll auto-populate. It'll pull in from Google. It'll auto-populate their work address. And then we can push that right into Route 1 or Dealer Track.
Okay, we have another question. Mike Moran, does your machine learn each store's unique process?
So that that's an interesting question. We work within any dealership unique process. We're not here to change their process, so to speak. I launched a big Toyota store a few months ago. They hadn't had a process change in 30 years, and this is the way they've always, and they're very successful.
Yeah,
But we were able
that's why.
to, we were able to integrate into their process. I mean, it tweaked it a little. The salespeople actually like it because they're able to push the credit app to the customer, not having to do it by hand, and they're able to push that information to the customer. The sales manager can then verify it because how many times they put the income in wrong. We don't verify the income, but if or ask for income when we do our calculations. But if the customer is below 620, we will require that they put the income in when we're doing the soft pull of the credit. That just gives us better information to go off of. Now, it's still probably going to be wrong, right? We're going to have to go back and change some things, but at least we have a better way to start the deal,
So the whole idea behind this is to get a soft pull that your AI is able to read what lenders would likely approve this deal based on their credit criteria, lender guidelines,
and the collateral. How many miles
and the collateral.
How many miles does the car have on it?
Right.
We'll actually program in all the guidelines. Because the mileage plays a big role, right?
Sure, it does. Yeah.
So we'll look at the car, look at the and then like a lot of your banks are using AI to make their decisions now. So we're tracking that data, and like I said, we're looking at I think what was the number I had? $70 million a week now in transactional data. So our system is continuously getting smarter. We just released another model that we're 80 to 90% accurate right now on some of your bigger banks. Subprime's a different animal, as you know. I think what's interesting, I got some numbers the other day from our friend Tom from a report that came out from I think it was Experian, where the average loan to value on approved deals on used cars is now 110%.
How much?
110% LTV
on approved deals.
Correct. Yes.
And that's something.
So that.
So what is the? You and I talked about this too, Blake. The percentage across the country on approved deals.
34% is what we're looking at from the data that we've downloaded from Route 1 and Dealer Track.
Over what period of time?
Oh boy. I mean, that's just over the last year.
Okay. So you've been able, selectFI has been able to go in and see a remarkable change. What's happening there? As far as percentage of deals approved,
we're seeing about a 20% increase in approval percentage, and that's just. I mean, and again, they're still going to have to go in. And change the structure sometimes, to accommodate, everything that our system is looking at. But we're seeing about a 20% increase, and again, it's just giving the managers better information earlier in the process to make better decisions than just using the platinum shotgun,
So we have some more feedback here. James, make it unique to your store and your lenders. Amen. Okay, James, you don't appraise a trade without a tool, but we quote rates based on gut. Imagine appraising a trade without a tool. Oh, imagine how that happens. I don't think that happens as much anymore. I think that the guys are using appraisal tools and that sort of stuff. I can't imagine that with their black book, with the little You know how they used to flip the
Yeah,
black book?
oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
oh yeah, you're
We used to walk in this dealership. This guy had just a stack of them sitting on his desk. I mean, it was you don't see that anymore.
you just don't, how they used to flip the book. Let me put a little number on that, Becky. But yeah, that there's something to be said about that. But I'll tell you, that is really what's happening at the desk. There's really no accountability at the desk. It's like, let's every man for themselves.
Yeah.
Why are we using, and for me, I like to bang my head up against the wall and I'm like, why are we allowing that to happen when you can have these tools to make it much more efficient? I'm not trying to take the human factor out of anything. I still want you to be there and desk your deal. I mean, but why wouldn't you want to utilize a tool that helps you along the way to be able to read what lenders are available to maximize your deal? It just stands to reason that, gosh, if I had that, I'd be I'd be a queen.
And then, sometimes managers, as long as they've been in the business, they get pigeonholed to sending, every deal to certain people. They forget to look outside,
I can tell you, as a platform F&I director, I went back in time. Believe it or not, I never thought I would be going back in time, but I went back in time as a platform F&I director. And I would watch it. I'm like, why do you keep sending this deal this way when they don't want it this way? That's not how they buy. But if you send it this way, that's how they will buy. It's like one store down the street, same dealer, same deal, right? They understood how this lender would buy, and they sent it in the right way for the lender to buy. This guy got called off by that lender because he couldn't get it right. And I'm like, why do you keep doing that? If it's happened to that person, I guarantee you, or that manager, it's happened a bazillion times across the board. Knowing how your lenders buy, being able to have the information to be able to put those deals together, maximize profitability, just makes sense to me. Okay, so we have Mike Thomas. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you, Mike Thomas. Thompson. I always get that name. Does your system offer any synthetic fraud checks?
Well, I mean, we do ID. Some of the bureaus that we partner with, they have the ability to do the synthetic fraud checks with their ID verification software that we're able to integrate with. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. So you're utilizing their ID verification, right? Their Route 1 or dealer track ID verification.
Or some of the big box credit providers out there like Informative and 700 Credit.
Informative. Yeah. Okay. And then we have another one. From Robert
He said he saw a black book in Arab, Alabama. He had a big cowboy belt.
So what's up with that one? I saw a black book about recent. I mean,
hey, that's my friend Robert. He's actually got a pretty cool AI product he's built as well called Flowbots. You need to check out sometime.
I will. What is it called?
Flowbots.
Flowbox.
Yeah.
So what's that all about?
It's just an AI platform to help salespeople overcome objections and BDC agents to respond to leads. It's a pretty cool tool. I've seen it at a few stores, and I was eating lunch with a finance director or marketing director last week, and he's not even using email templates anymore because of AI. It's pretty. I was blown away. It's pretty cool.
Well, I also have access, by the way, to AI role play, and it is. I got to tell you, it's happening, and it's really making a big difference. I mean, you have F&I folks. And I know you don't talk too much about that so much, but we have F&I folks that get intimidated with video, and and really they do everything they can, Blake, to get that person out of their F&I office. Looks like I have a deal coming. Gotta go. It's a cash deal. Gotta run. Anything, right? Anything not to do a role play. So imagine having your own avatar, right? To be able to do your role play with that can really give you a good idea of the, be able to read the, the objection or the objection close and be able to take in and provide some recommendations, suggestions. And I think it's quite clever. I really do. I think it's really cool. You see a lot in Alabama.
Oh man, that was funny.
I bet you we do see a lot in Alabama. I used to go to Alabama a few times. When I was I was working with the AutoNation stores, and J&A, and I was responsible for some of the Southeast stores too. I've seen a lot in Memphis. I can tell you that. How about you, Blake? You've been in Memphis lately.
I've been everywhere. Yes, I've been all over the Southeast. But I love the Southeast. It's great. I'm blessed to be part of this company initiative as we grow our presence here in the Southeast. And we really want to help dealers move the needle and lose less deals. And at the same time, we want to create that that transparency that, hey, dealers are good people.
No, I think dealers are really good people. I grew up in the car business, right? My father was a dealer, and he was phenomenal. Of course he was. He was my dad. And so I felt that he was the most talented car person ever. And he really was. And, so never in his wildest imagination did he think I was ever going to make it or be in the car business. And lo and behold, I surprised everybody. But it has been a good business, or it's been a good career for me. I've learned a lot, been a lot, and have done a lot in the car business. But, one of the things that, I always challenge everyone is how can we create an environment where it continues to be fun? It's got to be fun. I had a good time. I've really had a good time in the car business, but I want to streamline stuff. I want to make it easier. Why do we continue to bang our heads up against the wall? We don't have to. We can make it easier for ourselves, and we can make it easier on the customer. And you know what? Here's the thing. I was just reading a couple other posts, and I know everybody and their mother gets a little frustrated when we talk about Carvana, CarMax, and but
Echo
what? They're doing forward-thinking stuff.
Yeah. I was just talking to a dealer yesterday about Echo Park and how they walked around with a iPad and they could tell a customer what their payment might be on cars with the iPad. It was we've got to be able to compete with the Carvanas and the CarMaxes and create a more frictionless process.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the things that I liked about where CarMax, you remember years ago, Blake, and you've been around since 2004, but I remember, so I don't know if you remember this or not. So I'm really dating myself now. In 1990, no, maybe 2000. 1998, 99. When CarMax, Circuit City CarMax was coming out, we're going to appraise your trade. You don't have to buy a car from us. We're going to put a number on your trade. And at the time, everybody thought, who would do that? That is so absurd. Who would put a number on a trade without you're not buying a car? We're not putting a number on your trade. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But that was a really smart move on CarMax, because now everybody and their mother, we used to have dealers sending customers to CarMax. Well, go ahead and let them put a number on your trade-in and then come back and buy a car from us.
Or go sell your trade at CarMax and come back and buy it.
Or sell, yeah. So now you have folks that I'm going to go right to CarMax. And could you imagine today if we have dealers would be sitting there going, I'd kill for that. I want customers to come to my dealership and I will put a number on their trade in. if we could just turn that whole thing around. So all I'm getting at is we have to sometimes think outside the box.
Yes.
And see some of these other opportunities that exist. We're so blindfolded to certain things. Like you were talking earlier about a dealer that for 30 years was major successful. So why change anything? So I worked in Memphis. When I was working in Memphis, there was a dealership that was selling about 600-700 cars a month. Mm-hmm. Pretty successful, right? Ford dealership right there on Mount Moriah, right next to across the street from the Platinum Club and right next door to the Super Center, used car Super Center. But they swore they didn't have tier 3 and 4 business. We don't get that kind of business. I'm like, well, where is it going? I don't know, Becky, but we're not getting it. I know where it's going. It's going to Sunrise Pontiac. That's where it's going. You've got these guys paying $500, 300, maybe not 5, but $300 per application, and they're sending that deal up the street. So what I'm saying is that we have to understand that even though that we're super successful, right? We still have to have our eye on the target, or we're going to lose it, right? That's right. I mean, even though that we're super, I remember Don Kitchens, bless his heart. Love you, Don, if you're listening in. But Don would say, I said, you have 100 cash deals. What do you mean we're not talking 100 cash deals? We don't need to talk. We don't have time for 100 cash deals. Who cares about 100 cash deals? I'm like, I do. I'll present it. I'll do something with those 100 cash deals and making sure that we're presenting something to somebody. So at the end of the day, even no matter how successful we are, we can always do better. And then we have James. So why do I need to sell my firstborn to get accurate payments? More importantly, as a salesperson, do you trust the numbers your managers give you? I'll let you answer that.
I think that's a huge problem that salespeople, a lot of times lose confidence because they don't have confidence in the numbers that their sales manager is giving them. And that's one of the problems I think we solve is, our aim is to help the sales managers, make a more accurate quote so that the salespeople do have confidence in that first pencil and the figures that they're presenting to the customer.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's absolute. I couldn't agree with you more. I can tell you how many times I would say to a sales manager, okay, I hear this is how you want to present, but does anybody else buy into that presentation, or is that just you? Do they have the confidence in presenting those numbers, right? And making sure that those numbers are accurate. It's like, and I think that if they knew it was accurate, that they would buy more into the presentation and deliver it.
I couldn't agree more.
I think so. I think that would be, I think it would make life so much easier. And I see that a lot, especially with sales folks who aren't buying into any of it. It's like, oh, okay, well, put the payment out there at 36 months. Let's jack it up. I want 25-30% money down. And we're going to go quote this at 18%.
Yes.
Go for it. You can do it.
Let's make it happen. Go get him, Tiger. Go get him, Tiger.
And then what happens?
They got to peel him off the ceiling. That's.
And they don't do it. What they do is they go around, they go get a drink at the water fountain, come back and go, boss, no, we have to do this in 72 months with no money down.
Yeah.
Do you have a monthly SaaS fee on your fee per?
Yeah, it's a monthly subscription, and we're month to month. It's not a big long-term commitment, and that's our business model. And then we've got some other perks, like I think somebody asked a second ago about the lead generation piece. That's been very successful. We were actually at a dealership today, and it was like one of their top lead sources for converting their website traffic into leads that converted into appointments that converted into sales. So I've been very happy with helping build that for our company as well. So that's because I have a background in convert websites, and I know a little bit about website conversion. So
Yeah, you do. Did you work with Brett
I
Sutherland at one time?
did work with Brett and learned a lot working with him from the digital world, and had a lot of fun and got to meet a lot of dealers all over the country, and it was a good time together.
Oh, it probably was really good. He's a solid dealer, that's for sure. And at the time, I think he really was really trying to, I mean, he really went all in on conversions. I don't know much else about that, but that's all I do know that that was very successful in what he was able to put together with that. Robert's back. A great quote from Blake. There is a she was, a she is, and Miss Right. What now?
Miss right now.
Could you just say this over again? So I butchered it. I don't think I did you right.
There's a miss right now, there's a miss right, and there's maybe miss later. So like, there's three types of customers basically. When you're growing a company like selectFI, you want to go get the miss right now type dealers. The people that are a little bit more progressive, that are open-minded, looking for new ideas, looking for new ways to differentiate themselves from the other dealers down the street, looking to streamline their processes, looking to make sure they're covered from A to Z with compliance, taking advantage of some of the new changes with the emergence of AI, machine learning, because again, we're not here to replace managers. We're here to give managers better information. We're like a guide that, if you use it, the data, the statistics show that you will be successful.
So how many stores are you in?
We're close to 100 right now as a company. I've helped, bring on almost 50 here in the Southeast. We just, we're starting to, it's just like selling cars. You do a good job, you take care of your customers, they're going to tell other people about you. So, we just got another big referral today. I mean, it's a beautiful thing,
It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, that's really good. Because you've got good, you've got good background too. So you're able to really help them have a better understanding of how this whole thing works. Just like, you talk to some tech companies, they just don't have, they have the digital side, but they don't have the internal side.
Right. And luckily we have a lot of people at our company too that have had retail experience. The founder of selectFI was the F&I director for 40 store group. He had 90 F&I managers below him. One of the big things was they would always pick up the phone, call him, figure out how to structure a deal properly. Mm-hmm. And he would figure it out. But, you can't just rely on one person to do this, right?
No, you can't. It's just like everybody needs to have the tool on the desk. It just needs to be managed. Hold some of the folks somewhat, give them the tools that are necessary. I can't imagine that sorry. How you can fight this is beyond me. I feel like this is a tool that every manager, come heck or high water, has to have on the desk. I don't care how good you think you are. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It simplifies it. It just makes it dummy proof. I can miss stuff all the time. I feel like, I'm pretty damn good at what I do. But you know what? I'm just not all full of myself, and I get that, there are times I can miss stuff. I don't want to miss anything. Right. All I want to do is have a good time, sell cars, maximize profits, and let's go. And why send a deal to F&I that's not right?
Yeah.
So that's the other side of the coin that we haven't even talked about.
Right.
But imagine having that deal tight enough, because, here's the thing. I'd much rather have in my world, talking to somebody else's world, but my world, I'd much rather have a deal that's tight
Right.
than a deal that they're trying to hit me up with. And they're going, hey, Beck, guess what? Customer doesn't care about a payment. We're all good here. Meanwhile, they're on a $5,000, I don't know, $8,000 front end deal. Becky, don't worry about it. What happens to me when that deal happens? I'm like, oh, okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that deal back at 24 months and let's just see if they care about their payment or not. Right?
Yeah. Right.
They all care about it. Come on, give me a break. But I think that, that's all a part of it. And we have one more, I believe. Blake deserves his recognition on tools that have changed the industry. He truly believes in serving dealers, and it isn't about himself. I believe that too. I believe that about you, Blake.
Thank you.
You're good people. And I think you just want to do the right thing by your dealers and provide them with the best tools that's available to help them sell more cars and maximize profit.
And at part of the thing that we've also been doing is like we've been making the investment to actually get out and go spend a couple of days at the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing to have a great tool, but if nobody knows how to use it, then and you don't have everybody rowing in the same direction, it just becomes another paper hanger, that eventually will make it out to the street.
Well, right. I think it's really important that you're in the trenches and you're working with the desk, right, and helping them to address and answer any questions, and that you're able to include it in their everyday workflow. It's like one thing to have it and to know about it. It's quite the difference to actually bring it on in the dealership and work with it every day, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
And so, call me ma'am one more time.
No, sorry.
Call me one more time. No, just.
That's
all right, Mr. Blake. Yes, ma'am. I know how you guys are from the South. Yeah. I remember that. Becky. Yes, ma'am. Okay. But no, I think that's really important because it's, we fell into that during COVID. How many times all these dealers say, we have some digital something other, don't we? It's somewhere to be found, I think. So we have all this technology, but if we're not utilizing it on a regular basis, what good does it do us, right? So that's good. That's real good that, again, that you're in the dealership and you're helping these dealers have a better understanding of how it will work and the benefit that it brings to them. And then Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
And I'll see you in a couple weeks. Yeah, Mike Moran. Actually, guys, I want to tell you a little bit of something about Mike Moran. If you don't know who Mike Moran is, so he is the thank you video guy. Thank you video, and he is in company, and he is in so many different companies. He's just not the car business. He's in real estate, health business. I mean, he is in so many different companies. And anyway, so Mike has promised me that he is actually going to make his way on to a live talk, and that's going to be on the 27th. So I'm going to go ahead and hold your feet to the fire, Mike. You better be there, or I'm coming after you. And then we have great show back. Thank you again. And guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on tonight and here with Blake. He is certainly, he's a great guy. And I truly believe that selectFI is going places, and anything that I can do to help any of the dealers have a better understanding of selectFI, please reach out. I'd be happy to address any of your questions and certainly turn you on to Blake. and I'm sure he'll be more than happy to go ahead and address any questions that you may have. And then we have even one more. I'll be there. Good. Any lasting remarks, Blake, before we call it an evening? Gosh, I can't get over how quick everything went tonight.
No, this was, thank you so much for having me on. And it's been, it's been a fun ride so far with selectFI, and we're looking to make an impact and help dealers, better their reputation and lose less deals.
Lose less deals, impact sales, and maximize those profits, right? That's what it's all about. And I was really happy I was able to get you here. And I've been watching, like I said, you and selectFI. They couldn't have a better guy, Blake, frankly, and having you on with them. So thank you again, guys. Thank you for being on tonight. We really appreciate it, y'all. See you next week, next Thursday. Boy, I have a special treat. We are talking about AI and F&I. So
Awesome.
Giddy up. Thanks again, guys.